Hi, good afternoon, guys. This is Tom Jones and Adrian Standiford from Alternative Solutions, and this is Volume 4. Wow, we've done 4 of these now of CRM Unplugged. Today, our guest is Julie Abbott from Youth Villages. Julie, thanks for joining us. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, Tom. Hi, Adrian.
Hey, Julie, I'm so glad you could come.
Great to see you guys again.
Adrian,
Yeah,
how are
it's
you doing today?
been a while. What's that, Tom?
I said, you doing okay today?
Yeah. That was a little awkward. Yeah, I'm good here in Dallas. Julie, you're good in Tennessee?
You're
Yeah, Nashville's finally cooling off. It feels good. We're in full fall hoodie season. It's great.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So I know,
So,
Julie,
Adrian,
we met you a few years ago when we started partnering with Youth Villages. You came on, I guess, 5 years ago and started taking over their Salesforce. And I've heard that you've done some pretty amazing stuff with one of your annual campaign drives, Holiday Heroes.
Yeah, so Holiday Heroes has always been one of our largest fundraisers and campaigns that helps our families. It's been going about 18 years now locally in Middle Tennessee with Youth Villages through our 5 offices. And when I came on board, we serve families with mental health issues, youth that have been in crisis or have experienced abuse or neglect. And when I came on board my first year, I sat back and watched Holiday Heroes happen, and it was happening in a conference room. It took maybe 2 or 3 people to run it. They were at about 850 wish lists from youth in our services. And I heard one of my directors he didn't realize anyone was listening, and he was just, talking to whoever. And he said, I wish there was a better way to track this and a better way to keep track of what we're getting in and what's going out. And one of my specialties when I came on board was Salesforce. I had been a Salesforce admin at another nonprofit. So I immediately jumped in and said, okay, let's make this happen.
That's awesome. I know that you guys serve a lot of kids. I know in the past, I think, I remember, I think last year it was 2,500 kids, but I think
what's the number now, Julie?
Yeah.
So we expect to receive somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 wish lists this year.
Wow. That's true. Wow.
Yeah, so you can see that growth from just 5 years ago, 850 up to 3,000. So there's a huge need for Holiday Heroes and people to get involved and help out.
Well, we've been a Holiday Hero sponsor, before, corporate sponsors, but my wife and I, I'm going to say in 2019, maybe 2020, went out and actually helped put together some packages. I mean, it's a pretty regimented process. It was, you guys were doing a great job.
And it has only come further. The workshop, now we are in a 17,000 square foot loaned space.
Holy cow.
Partner, business realty. They give us an empty office space every year. And we fill every inch of that space 6, 7, 8 feet high with gifts.
That's
and
awesome.
It's all cubicles as far as the eye can see, and they are full of gifts. And it is the time of year that we work the hardest, but it is the most fun. And I can't believe that I'm actually looking forward in 2 weeks to going and getting 17,000 steps a day in one room.
Yeah. It's a lot. It is.
It's a lot, but it is, what do they say? It's the most fun you'll ever have, the hardest job you'll ever have, but the most fun you'll ever have. There's something like that.
Right.
That's what
So tell us, if you don't mind, how did you implement Salesforce into this process?
Yeah, so we figured out first thing, poll the audience. What do we need? What do we want? What do you know from experience works and doesn't work? Back 5 years ago, we were literally working with faxed in Word documents. Send out a Word document via email to staff. They sit with their kids, get the wish lists, maybe a couple of demographic pieces of information, and maybe a few likes, colors, teams, things like that.
Sure.
Like they would fax that thing back in. We then had an office manager sit for hours and try to read that handwriting, translate it, and get it into an Excel spreadsheet. So that's not really efficient. So the first thing we did is decide, okay, how do we get information straight into Salesforce?
Right.
Find an app that plays with Salesforce. We'll import the information for us. So we use an online form now just to collect the information, and it goes straight into Salesforce for us. It creates what we call a wish list record. And what's really cool on the same side, rather than keeping track of a few hundred emails with different shoppers like you that go out and shop for these gifts,
Sure.
we now have a shopper form, so they go directly online, sign up directly online, name, email address, how many lists would you like? And we can ask things like, do you have the capacity to transport a bike if a youth asks for that? Because we understand some people would love to get that list with a bike, but they have no way to get it to us.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So that those forms that's where we started with.
Yeah.
Let's get the information in. We can always work with it once it's in.
Certainly streamline the process, right?
Gosh, yes, streamline the process. I am a fan of reports, data in, reports out, and then you can manipulate it any way you want once it's in Excel, which is what I love.
Do the other youth villages locations nationally use this same process with Salesforce or no?
Yep, it's finally catching on. This year, there are 10 regions using the forms. I want to say 10 to 12 different regions around the country.
Nice.
Using just the forms, just to get the data in. They're not manipulating it or tracking things like we are, but they're just collecting the data. It's so much easier.
That's awesome.
What's that?
I said that's awesome.
It's so cool. I mean, it's like, oh, we got the toy. We spent 3 years perfecting it, and this will be year 4, and I expect it to be actually running smoothly. With there's always tweaks. You're always learning. But this will be the first year that it's going to be 99%. Let's go. Our volunteers that come in and work with it have a handle on it. We're collecting everything we need now.
Gotcha. For the privacy aspect of it, how do you assign the families a particular code or a name so that that's not transmitted to the people that are shopping?
Yes, we actually we have a system of when the forms come in, it creates we have a random number generator and a random number field. So it will assign that number to the wish list so that we can track it. It will also, we've got it so that it will assign a name to the list as far as like a youth name or a family name, because we can't, unfortunately, due to HIPAA, we can't share real names along with actual demographics. It's one.
Sure.
So it's much easier for us to assign a random name again through a generator with a list that we've put in. But everything else that goes out is 100% that youth.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So all the demographic information, gender, age, all the things like that are truly that youth. But we do hide some information, and we use coding a lot because we've actually we use barcodes to track things now. We have barcode scanners and stickers that we are putting on every list, and each list is assigned a barcode.
That's
so
great.
we have multiple ways to track. So when someone calls, depending on if it's a staff member or a volunteer or someone in our workshop helping work in the workshop, there's multiple ways to identify things within Salesforce.
That's awesome. That's really cool that you did that. So are you using any other I know you've got a lot of different programs within youth villages where you support, I know older children that are aging out. I know that's one of my favorite programs that y'all have. It's called LifeSet. Have you implemented any Salesforce stuff into that?
With the LifeSet youth, it's a lot of grants and a lot of donations that we get. And you're right. Yeah. So 18 to 22-year-olds, the youth that have previously been in foster care are no longer eligible for typical state or local services. It's a voluntary program. They can come in. There's no charge to them. It's 100% grant and private money driven. There's actually no government funding for the LifeSet program. So that is where locally we do our fundraising just for that program. But overall, I mean, we serve folks from birth to age 22, 23, with a bulk of them being in the 13 to 22-year-old range.
Okay.
A lot of teenagers in state custody.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, that's great. That is really great. I know we've you know, we've done a few events with some of the homes in youth villages, and it just always blows my mind how gracious these kids are, because you know, they've been thrown a lot of curveballs, and you know, they love to absorb and listen and educate. It's really been a good relationship for us to be involved in.
Well, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I love to take that back to the kids at the group homes and their staff, because a lot of times, you know, the staff may not see them on their best days like you and I do. You and I are a distraction. We're a diversion. We're something fun and interesting for them. And the staff doesn't always get that. So it's great to be able to take that back to the staff that live with the kids and say, hey,
Sure.
They did a great job today. They were engaging. They were gracious. They enjoy, you know, when it comes down to it, the teens are in state custody and it's not their fault.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
home. And they want to be quote unquote normal teenagers. They want the best for themselves. They want to learn. And so that we are now their family, and we do what we can and to make that possible for them, so that they can come out at 18 or 22 or whatever it is. And they can come out as successful young adults, independent young adults.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm always impressed because they always say, well, what do you do? And I kind of explain to them what we're doing. And they're like, well, maybe I'll be a developer. And I'm like, yeah, you could be a developer. You could, you know, just make good grades and focus on your math. You'll be fine. So yeah, it's really is rewarding.
And exposure to different careers is key, because they see social workers, and we get a bunch of social workers. One of the really neat things to me that speaks volumes for youth villages is every year we will get a few kids back after they've gone through the Tennessee Promise program and gotten their AA. They'll come back to us as social workers, either for their internships or for their first jobs.
Yeah.
To change the system. And I think that is so cool. But yes, to be exposed to become a developer. You've got skills. You like to game, become a game developer, become a web developer. And that is even a possibility. They don't realize someone does that.
Yeah, it's just great stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, Julie, thank you so much for letting us be involved with youth villages. We really appreciate it. And we have such a great relationship with you guys and Ray, and we really have enjoyed our partnership with you guys. And thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is great. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you guys in person at the workshop too. Dropping off.
It's right around the corner, isn't it?
You're not going to
right around the corner.
Right
Thanks
there.
again, Julie. We'll see you.
Thank you so much. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.